Light crew, light crew.
All right, guys, got some questions? Patrick, so last week, Bucky Irving had a pretty good game for Tampa Bay. Just kind of wondering what you see from their offense.
Just for in terms of they do a good job of running the ball. They know that they've established their identity this part of the season. So you can see they're a run first team, and they mix in the play action pass. They have a quarterback that can get them in and out of good run plays and get them to the right looks for pass games. So it's a good combination, and then they're a solid defense. So to me, it falls right in line with what you would think with a defensive head coach. Hey, make sure you can run the ball, and they got two backs that can run it. They got a good O-line in terms of, there's a mix of some youth and a little bit of experience, but relatively, a younger group, so you can see them being together for a while. So it's the right combination. And then you count that with the receivers and the tight end. 88's really coming on. I've been real impressed with him. Mike is Mike. He is what he is. He's a go-to guy for them. And after the hamstring injury, you can see him. They're really trying to get him involved with the offense. And it's good to see Shep out there playing. I was with him at the Giants, but they got a good mix. And the quarterback's a trigger man. He makes it go. And you can see how he has full command of the offensive line of scrimmage, which is impressive to me.
What kind of challenges does Baker make you present?
One, once you get, again, I hate sounding like a broken record, but once you see a quarterback to get in and out of the right play, especially when they get you into the right run play, to me that was always the most impressive throughout my career in the league with what Tom would do or what Peyton Manning would do, Eli, Aaron Rodgers, those guys, again, I don't know, I wish there was a statistic for that, but to get them in the right run play, that's always key. So you see that happening, whether it's, from the motions, boom, he checks the play, or he sees a look that he likes, and then he gets them to a run, and they have the backs to do that. So that's one thing. Then the second thing, the arm strength, the arm talent's there. He can make every throw, and you can see that he trusts his arm. So, he's willing to stick it in there versus tight windows. He does a good job of, putting it on the right shoulder for the receivers. He does a good job there. And then he can throw the ball down the field as well. So, to me, he has full access to the field because of his arm strength. He has full access to his field because of his knowledge of the game. So that's always impressive and poses a issue for us. And we got to be on our toes. This is a top 10 offense, in almost every category. So it's a big challenge for us.
With Mike Evans being,
they're one of the best teams in the league, both on third down and in the red zone. What do you see that separates them maybe from some other teams in those areas?
For me, it's the ability to run the ball because they'll mix in the run on third down, so you got to be alert for that. I always thought that was one of the tougher things once you get in those situations where, most of the league, once it's 3rd and 2+, you're dealing with pass game. That's just historically what you're dealing with in the league. But once you involve the run game and the dynamic ball carriers they have, now we got to respect that. We can't tee off the way we wanted to, so you got to be mindful of that. And then to bring that down to the red area, if you could run the ball in the red area, that's the best thing you could do because the windows are tighter, the throws are a little bit tougher, so it's easier to just run the ball. So that, to me, it all starts with the run game and and with those backs and how the O-line's blocking. They got a bunch of big guys up there that can move bodies. They do a good job staying connected on their double teams. They pass off movement. They're working well together. It's an impressive group.
Mike Evans being such a physically imposing corner, physically imposing receiver, what do you preach to your cornerback room of how to cover a guy like that?
Don't come to me complaining about push-offs. it is what it is, man. It is what it is. You hope somebody's listening, but it doesn't matter. It is what it is. You just gotta put respect on it, just like Birdman said, you gotta put respect on it. You gotta be ready to play strong through the move area and be ready for them. You've been doing it for a long time. So there's a challenge there. Gotta understand where his move area is. Understand, you gotta really dive into the tape and study, what routes, what they like to do with them in certain spots. So that's all important right there. But main thing is I don't hear any complaints, man. He's earned that. So he can do what he has to do out there.
You spoke a little bit about the running backs, but particularly Bucky Irving, who had, I think, close to 185 yards in scrimmage last week. How do you look at a back like that and try to prepare a defense against him?
The biggest thing with both of their backs, they're both pretty dynamic, and they get their yards in the run game. It's again, we always talk about off-schedule plays with the quarterback. they make, if there's a 2-yard gain there, they can make it into a 50-yard gain real quick by testing your leverage and your pursuit angles as you're trying to chase these guys down. So both of the backs to me have really good vision. They have real good contact balance in terms of when they're getting hit. So for me, it's really just about, we got to do a good job of setting the edge like we always talk about, playing with power on the inside, and then your pursuit angles have to be right. If your pursuit angles aren't right, it could be a problem in the run game, it could be a problem in the screen game. And then the thing, again, I mentioned this about Baker, how he's finding the checkdowns. You have to respect their speed and their size as the receivers off the play action, but then he's finding the checkdowns, and those guys are dangerous on the checkdowns. So it's a combination of things of how they give him the ball, but you can see really the identity of the offense through the vision of the head coach. It makes sense. Defensive head coach, that's how you would want it to look like. Exactly how you would want to look. That's how you would want it exactly to look like.
After the, Chason, he had a sack and a half against the Chiefs after the game. He said it was really just all about trusting the rush plan.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, those other 3 guys on the other side of Max, how imperative has it been for them to really step up, and how have they really been able to feed into success of why you've been able to get quarterbacks down?
The biggest thing with the rush, we've always talked about, it's really fluid. So whether you're rushing 4, especially when you're rushing 4, there's always the possibility of exchanging gaps and rush lanes. So they do have to trust one another. They have to work together, and at times, sometimes it takes time. So to me, when we're rushing 4, especially when we're rushing 4, there has to be a trust level of, okay, if I get high here, you're going to counter back. If I'm staying low, you're going to be on top. So there's always a trust factor with that, and it takes a little bit of time at times. You want to move along quicker. That's what we always talk about. Everybody, we're not the most patient people in the world, but there is a trust factor that goes into it. And it's going to be imperative this week because Baker can make something out of nothing with those loose plays, because he's pretty good in the pocket too in terms of how he steps into the pocket, avoids the rush. You see a bunch of free runners at him at times, and he makes a miss and gets his eyes downfield and throws the ball. So that's going to be important. We have to eliminate the explosive plays, and that's one way quarterbacks can get that.
Pat, kind of to that point, last week against Kansas City, we saw the NASCAR package. How does it help you as a coordinator when you throw those 4 defensive ends on the field at the same time? And what does it do for the defensive ends that don't necessarily get as much playing time when they all get out there at the same time?
It's real important for guys to buy into their role. I think AP talked about it last week. You got to buy into your role. So if your role is to get 5 snaps, those got to be your best 5 snaps. You got to take advantage of that. So, the guys that aren't playing that much and they get in there on a package, you got to own your role right there. And then as far as putting more DNs out there, it's just the league's just different, man. They all can scramble. I remember when I first got into the league, you talking about maybe 4 or 5 quarterbacks. Everybody else, you throw the orange dot out there, that's where they were standing. And it's a headache, man. It's a headache. Every week. It's every week. You see how my whole demeanor changes. It's every week you got to deal with these dudes, man. And it's not getting any better because all the dudes in college I see when I watch 5 minutes of college football, they can all run too. So, yeah, fun.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, PJ.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.